Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm joined this week by Ryan and some more. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, doing well.
Cool. Well,
Doing great.
it's over. Finale of House of the Dragon season 3 came and went. I guess we'll start right off to more first thoughts on the episode and then a little bit on the season as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, I guess people who have listened to the podcast before know that I have not read the books. This is kind of my first foray with this timeline. And I mean, I thought it was great. I have kind of ups and downs for the season overall, but for me, it's just like it's the kind of thing I look forward to it every Sunday. It's just like to me, it's like still prestige, high quality TV, even if it has a few flaws. But yeah, overall, really loved it, and it was an interesting way to end the season, and not exactly what I was expecting, but I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. We can talk about it more.
Yeah, Ryan, same thing. What are your thoughts on this season and episode?
Overall, I thought it was a strong season. Obviously, I think it definitely delved a lot from the books. It's definitely its own unique thing, but I think what it's done that, like, for instance, I think Game of Thrones kind of tried to do it has been able to establish its own voice in an effective way, separate from what we got in that book, right? Given that wasn't stuff written by Martin, so it might be a little, you could argue it's a little easier, right? There's a lot of fill in, but I thought overall, I mean, I was pretty compelled by almost every storyline. There's like maybe one or two I was kind of like, why? But overall, the acting continues to be really good. Um, yeah, I mean, maybe a few flaws in like character motives and stuff like that is like all I could really think of, or like something that seemed like just very sudden for certain characters. Those are really the only things I can think of that I could be extremely critical about. I didn't necessarily, I don't know why I didn't love like the Hightower arc, only in the sense of like the relationship between Darian and the cousin seemed kind of, or is it, no, Allison's brother. It just seemed a little weird and rushed the way they talked about um, Orman, but then like the way it kind of flipped at times. I don't know. That was like probably the only thing I can really think of. But yeah, overall, I mean, I thought it was strong. It was entertaining. I think really you kind of got everything you would want out of it.
Yeah, I think, I enjoyed it. I know people are very precious about the book canon. Um, the thing with Fire and Blood is it's a it's a history book taking place over a really long time, told through three different sources that often will be competing with one another as to what exactly has happened. So I think that is a difficult type of book to adapt,
Mhm.
whereas the regular books were easier, and you saw the first what 4 or 5 seasons of Game of Thrones follow it very closely and be rewarded for that. So I definitely feel like it's a tough situation. There's a lot of stuff they did cut out, or characters that were gonna be important who just don't exist at all. So I definitely get where people are coming from, but I do think that this is a good show. I think people are very hard on it, but I do also think that it might just be because people, as much as they love to like something, they love hating something even more. Like that's fun,
Oh,
and
for sure.
that's kind of been like the thing for the Game of Thrones shows. There's always gonna be somebody who's like, "This sucks." I'm sure there's someone who's like, "Knight of the Seven Kingdoms trash," even though like it followed the book pretty much directly with like a few changes in it. So
Yeah, well, I feel like, and it was great, but I feel like also just the way everyone like appraises that, but like really puts down House of Dragon. I mean, House of Dragon is still very, I say it's very high quality. And again, you talk about like Game of Thrones, like those actually were text, and like, right, Martin did give context to his stuff afterwards, and like the seasons after his writing, I thought like were pretty atrocious at certain points. I wouldn't say anything is nearly like that in House of the Dragon, even if you don't agree with it and stuff. I haven't, there haven't been any of like the cringeworthy like lines, or just like,
Yep.
you know, like honestly, it was just like poor quality at certain points. And I think like, yeah, I don't see that with this. I think it's really maintained a high standard. And then I think if you like, you know, people used to complain about the action. Like think about in Game of Thrones, like season 2, Battle of Blackwater, right? That was like the most expensive TV episode at the time. And they didn't even really show a lot of fighting, right? It was just the fire at the end. I mean, this show, you're seeing a lot of effing dragons, like just like left and right. Like you really can't complain. Like they're doing a lot. Like this show, given there's a lot you can do with CGI now, but it must be extremely expensive to make, I'd imagine.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you pointed that out. In the book, the Battle of the Blackwater is huge, and like so much shit happens in it, but
Mhm.
they just whittled it down. So that's a great point. And you know, I think it's disappointing. They've left out a lot of battles that were in the book, like smaller ones. They said that this battle of Tumbleton is kind of an amalgamation of the two battles of Tumbleton from the book, but you know, you take what you can get, and like you said, Ryan, there's dragons. They're expensive. You know, you gotta feed them. No,
I mean,
so
listen, if these 3 seasons had been the last 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, I don't think we would, have been so upset with the ending of Game of Thrones. I think the quality of this show, even though it's not perfect, and I definitely have some notes that we can kind of go over in terms of like certain characters' stories dragging, some like being kind of pointless, but then others like really, singing, and like some of my favorite characters, like Ormond and Gwaine and Adam, these are like the characters that to me like carried the entire season. If they weren't in it, then I think I'd be having a different kind of mindset. But I think
night
overall,
for Orman, especially.
oh yeah, dude, oh so good. I mean that actor, like I can't wait to see whatever he does next because like I'm so excited.
Yeah, he's great. Like what I said, I think it was actually like, you know, Darian's fine, Gwaine. It was just kind of their dynamics. I wasn't like crazy on, but like I thought, yeah, I mean, Ormond, obviously, like the actor did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Well, let's start with the Hightowers story. This episode, Orman, as much as he hates dragons, he's a realist. He's like, okay, we're gonna need help from a dragon here. So he pretty much, wines and dines Ulf over the last couple of episodes, and convinces Ulf to betray Team Rhaenyra. Tamora, what are your thoughts on Ulf potentially switching sides here?
I mean, to be honest, I was not surprised that Ulf got drunk, forgot about the whole battle. Like nobody
That's
could
a whole
find
other
him.
part of it. Yeah.
His pants were down, and it's also not surprising that he was able to switch sides so easily. I just think he's like, he doesn't have like that moral compass like everybody else. He doesn't really need to fight for any one specific side. He's in it for himself, and Rhaenyra, I think she's. I mean, we can talk so much about her style of ruling, and I think we're seeing now it's like really backfired when it comes to Ulf. It's like if she had kind of fostered that and given him more of like, giving him more freedom, giving him more like status, and been like, here's a castle, you're doing like, you're fighting this war for me, and you're one of like my top 3 most like important soldiers. Like, I'm going to reward you. He probably would have, stuck by her side, and but instead he's switching sides, and I mean, he switches sides multiple times. He's just the kind of guy who's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna fight for myself and what I believe.
Yeah, no, I think you're right there. Rhaenyra did a terrible job. Damon also a terrible job of handling Ulf. He just wanted to have an ale with his boys. I think we can all appreciate that. Ryan, what did you think of Ulf's storyline here in this last episode?
I thought it was pretty fitting. I mean, they did a really good job of like, again, like Rhaenyra's treatment of him. It's like, even if we're going beyond like the, not even like to the rewarding and stuff. It's more like if she had just like kind of spoke to him in a decent tone, and been like just a little respectful, maybe that could have gone a long way. I mean, and then you had obviously like Damon really putting him down. And I think we kind of see with Ulf, right? He's very roguish. Um, he's not necessarily always reliable, but he's definitely got like a stubborn pride to him. And he's set in his ways. So it's like, it makes perfect sense that he's going to flip over. And, I thought it was funny the way they had him like enjoying the ale and like Ormond being like, yeah, I thought you might like it. And yeah, he kind of is, again, his character, he's the pretty perfect person to be that traitor. And then when he flipped and went on Damon and was like, an F you, it kind of made perfect sense, right? And like, honestly, they didn't necessarily show him being a massive. I mean, they did show him for sure, like he enjoys the ales and stuff, but they didn't show like that degree of drinking. But again, he starts to get the freedom. He's getting this big head. Also, we know he's like conflicted about this stuff. He's probably afraid of Damon. Yeah, it makes sense. He gets drunk, and then it makes it perfect for he's wasted up on this dragon, and right, Ormond took this huge risk, which to a degree, obviously it was smart and it almost kind of saves him, but it ultimately it's a wild card move with a wild card guy, right? So it backfired perfectly. I thought they set it up pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think it was any worse than Gwain's plan of I'm gonna go out by myself with the Lord of the Tides and then just get him robbed from me and get threatened to death. That plan was horrible. Tamor, what do you think about that?
Yeah, not only was it horrible, but it was also like it was worse than horrible. It's like, what, you're gonna basically get yourself killed. I'm like totally shocked that the writer didn't kill him right then. That would have almost made more sense. The other thing that didn't really make sense to me was that Damon took him as like his own prisoner when it's like, this is the hand of the queen. Like, I don't know why it kind of like, that didn't really make sense to me, why he didn't just kind of like free him and be like, all right, like, I'm pretty sure he's still in shackles when like the dragon's attacking, right? That didn't make any sense to me. But I guess that speaks to Damon's character. But yeah, no, I mean, like I said, Gwaine actually was like one of my favorite characters all season. This was kind of like a dumb move for him. I guess you could say it was a desperate move. But I think overall he is one of the wiser characters, like he's not the type of person who's going to be like, all right, let's go ahead and like, run into battle and die just for the sake of glory and all this stuff. And he tries to teach his nephew like to do the same thing. It's like, you don't need to just die on the battlefield just for the sake of it. Your honor is less important than your life. And for some fucking reason, he decided to walk right onto the battlefield after kind of giving that speech. So yeah.
Ryan, what did you think about Gwain's Hail Mary attempt?
Yeah, it wasn't the smartest move, I think, given who his character was and kind of so what I kind of thought was it makes him an interesting character, but I guess part of that plot line that was kind of weird to me is like, so you're serving under Ormond your whole life. I get it. Obviously, Ormond's not a good person. We've seen that, but like, he's a very certain type of like headstrong leader. I just found it so surprising that he was just like, look, he sucks, he's crazy, this. It's like at that point, I feel like you got to kind of buy into a degree, right? Like he's just like constantly trying to duck and dodge and change his stratagem to like such an extreme degree. I feel like that's just not going to be compatible with what Ormond's doing, right? And to me, like ultimately, that's kind of where he erred, and right, that's I guess what made Ormond formidable is because he wasn't going to negotiate. And right, we know like Damon's not going to negotiate, like in the sense of like that actually made perfect sense. That actually made perfect sense to me that Damon took the sea snake as his prisoner, because the sea snake was like, no, you know what, this kid's kind of got a point. Like you don't have to rule everything. Like, come on, like don't you want like a little piece? And I think it kind of shows, like right? We know that at least Daemon highly suspects the Sea Snake of probably being a little jealous of all the power the Targaryens hold. So I think it just, yeah, I mean, you're going to try to question that power at all. Damon's going to come down with a hammer. I think for Gwaine and who he was, I think it kind of made sense that that's the kind of move he would make out of just like to me, he very much seemed like a guy like, look, I think this is all really stupid. I just want to live. Like, I don't want to die and like
Yes.
fight.
Mhm.
Like, this fighting seems pointless. To the point where I was kind of like, man, like, look, at this point, at least like go with it a little bit. Like, you're screwed here. Like, I'm not like, or just kill him. Like, what else are you gonna do? Like, that's kind of how it felt to me, at least. And we even saw like he's trying not to get. I kind of liked a little bit of Darian's daring there. Um, I think Wayne's obviously right to a degree, but he's like, look, this whole situation is a mess. Like, I got to at least like just go out and like make it, go out with some dignity and at least try something.
I mean, it almost feels like his offer is smart. It's just the way he went about it. It was like, it's way too late, and Damon is like not gonna go for this at all. But I guess, yeah.
It's smart. I was just saying, it's like it's smart enough. It's logical, but it's like you're going, yeah, like it'd be like if someone was going to Satan or whoever with like a huge like game plan, right? Or you go to like the Vikings with, hey, we have this huge like thing we want you to read on like really why we should. It's just you're not speaking his language. If anything, you're just going to piss him off more, right? But he doesn't really know Damon fully.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And we have to remember he's also what he might not take into account. I guess we don't know how much he would know. He is, like Damon really hates his father, right? Like that's a deep rooted hatred. I do not think Damon likes the Hightowers at all. For variety, right? He probably just knowing Damon and who he is, and we see that even though, yes, he changed a little bit in a lot of ways, right? He is still Damon, especially where he knows he can get away with not hurting his relationship with Rhaenyra. I think he still kind of holds on to like some of those grudges and still thinks that, the reason he kind of had to struggle his way up is because of the way he was treated by the Hightowers.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. He hates the Hightowers. Ormond hates the Targaryen. It's all whole reason for all of this, right? But yeah, I think that's really their whole story this episode until the battle. So we'll get to that. That's the end of it. That's the most fun. I would love to talk about the brothers here, Aegon and Aemond, having a little reunion at Harrenhal. First of all, this is for Ryan because this is a book thing that's been revealed now in the show. We didn't know Alice Rivers was allegedly a cursed person and the wife of, Harren, who made Harrenhal. That was a pretty interesting revelation. I don't know if I fully believe it because she's such a wild card. But I do love that they threw this in here.
It's an interesting theory. I think it was I was like, wow, that's kind of better than anything I thought they would come up with. I thought they either wouldn't answer it or I like it. But I also like the idea that it very much could be a lie, right? She could just be. I personally like, again, we can only know so much. I like the concept of her as just kind of like a regular old woods witch who at some point got spurned over something and is just trying to insert herself more and just like completely brainwashes Aemon. But who knows? But yeah, I mean, it could go either way. But that arc to me, it's like interesting. You could see it. Then you're also like, oh, that's sweet. I wonder if like she takes a necklace off at some point and she looks like Melisandre and it's gonna be all gross out.
I don't know. He's making out with his mom. Maybe he's more into it now.
Yeah, he definitely was. It seemed like once she revealed, like, yeah, that whole arc with him and his mom, the way they've hammered that home is interesting.
For sure. Yeah.
That is the one thing that makes me think it could be a lie. Like, what does Aemon want more than anything is a loving mom. And what was she? A mom who loved her son so much that she went into this occult, like spiritual remedy thing and got herself cursed to live for eternity. That to him, that's hot.
Oh yeah, and her dream is to rise up this castle with a strong leader again. He gets to be that. Especially after his own mother poisoned him.
Yeah, it's rough.
Which I thought it was good. I did think that was good for his character development.
Here's the thing. I think it's so cool, especially as you guys are talking about this, because that didn't occur to me that it was potentially a lie. And there's so many layers to that, like there's, like you said, like the mother-son relationship and the I guess romance in his head. But then I think back at the season and I'm like, they could have done so much more with this. I personally, I think like everything you're talking about sounds so cool on paper. But then when I think back, I'm like, yeah, he just, he was like sick for a little while. He got up out of bed. He was able to like fight 4 guys at once, which kind of made no sense after he was like bedridden. And
he's not a bitch, all right? He was gonna let 4 random guys beat him.
Yeah, and I just think that scene, you didn't really need it, or at least save it until it makes sense, because like I don't know. But yeah, to me, like they could have done much more with him, because he is one of the more interesting characters who really is like chaotic, but so interesting because he's like desperate and like fucked up and in love with his mother, and like it could have. To me, they could have really done much more with it.
They definitely could have, but I think it's also like a tricky one, and they wanted to go in a certain direction, and maybe it could be hard to sell to a degree. So maybe they kind of had it understated and kind of like how she used the dragon eggs and kind of like the promise of maybe having his own kind of like seat and like family where he's not necessarily right, because he clearly has a little bit of guilt over what he did. It like slowly plants those seeds, and then his mom killing him is like, kind of really like puts it all in motion. I thought that worked well enough. And I was thinking about it with the fighting, like that is a good point, but I was thinking with, I think it was Damon, like when he's just going to town on dudes at the end of this episode. It like occurred to me, it was like you have to remember with like these guys, like so Damon, Amond, they've been getting like world-class training since they were like 4 or 5 years old, right? And these guys are teaching them the most effective ways to kill a guy as quickly as possible. A lot of these guys that they're fighting probably didn't hold swords until they were like teenagers, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they're fighting dummies. It's just like it's such a huge difference, right? And again, these other guys have to do all sorts of other stuff in their daily tasks. Like these guys literally can just spend all their time practicing this stuff if they want to.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I think that Eamon is supposed to be like pretty badass. And I also think that the actor who plays him is like really skilled. He was on, I think, the show Vikings, and he's like had a ton of training in like combat stuff. So they kind of want to like show that off a little bit,
That kind of does make sense because he is pretty. Yeah, he does. It does always look cool, and he's messing around with the blade.
Like in the first season, we like flipped the knife around. That was sick.
I never thought about that, but I was like, yeah, I guess they do a lot of just like him wielding it around, and honestly, like and it fits the character perfectly, right? And even if you just don't, right, we know that he's just a very fierce fighter.
Yeah, so I loved Aegon coming in here, and being like, "I'm alive, imbecile." I thought that line read amazing. So fun. Aegon, stock's way up on Aegon. Coming into the season, I don't think people loved him that much. Coming out of the season, one of people's favorite characters. That's at least what I'm seeing online. It's more, how did you feel?
I mean, to be honest, I've always been an Aegon fan. I think the actor is just like he's one of the few in Game of Thrones history who I think brings more to the role than he's even there on paper, which is like so hard to do when the writing is that high level. But to me, he just he does so much with it and brings this like almost it's comedy, even though he's like villainous and like privileged and like really like a piece of shit, but you somehow still like almost like root for him and like him. And that's such a hard thing to pull off as an actor, you know, like especially as like a young actor who's I don't know how much, you know, I've never seen him in anything else, but I just think he's like he's so great. And I I don't know what's gonna happen next, but I have a feeling, and I can see why, you know, they're kind of propping him up to be more likable and more more of a fan favorite.
I agree. Ryan, what were your thoughts about Aegon in this I guess season and episode?
Well, yeah, I mean, since season one, I definitely thought he was one of the stronger actors. Right at the end of it, like right when he's like holding up the sword, he definitely showed some good range. But I thought like, what was I going to say? Is he? Yeah, I think Tamora had a good point where like, right, you look at like Jamie or like Theon, like some of the stronger acting performances I thought from Game of Thrones, like those characters, they start off really shitty, they redeem themselves, but I would say like, yeah, we see some. Jamie's pretty self-destructive, especially in the show towards the end again, but we see very human sides of them, right? They like really overall like flip. They're not those guys anymore. As where Aegon, like, yeah, we saw some moments of weakness. He does like he shows a little bit of strength here, but I think it's more just kind of like stubbornness than anything. Um, right? He's basically like, yeah, I don't my thought on it was like for Aegon's character is like, yeah, obviously I'm not the bravest dude ever, but I'd rather get my throat slit than be treated like a peasant. Like screw this. I'm King Aegon, you know. So he's still like kind of established. He's still like Aegon, right? He's still kind of. I still think he's a jerk. Like
Yeah,
maybe we do see a little. Yeah, I guess he is like he asked, "Do you think I'm a bad person?" But I think his overall personality kind of stays. Well, you know, the jury's still out on how much he changes, but I think right, it seems like a lot of it he's still going to use that kind of like brash entitlement to kind of drive what he's doing, right? So in that sense, yeah, I think the actor did a really good job, and yeah, I definitely liked the scene and just like how much like he was disappointed by Eamon being like, "I'm so sorry."
yeah.
I know.
Like what the fuck? When did you become like a cock, dude?
I know. He's so mad. He wanted that to be so cathartic, and he couldn't even have that. But now we'll see when we head into season 4 where that dynamic goes. I think, like you said, some more the actor is so good that he could definitely like bring a good comedic element to the boys being back together.
Right, right. I hope they don't completely I guess in a Theon way kind of like castrate what's his name? His brother, you know. Like I hope they give him more to do.
Eamon's with Alice. He's gonna fuck. That's like,
Oh yeah,
I don't think
he's
they're
gonna
going
lose
to
his virginity.
castrate him. And I think, like, right, because I think Aegon knows, right? If anything, like, Aegon probably wants to get him going a little more where he knows he's a weapon he needs to yield, right? So, like, doing that isn't going to make him any better. If anything, he needs him to kind of like ball up a little bit.
no, he needs him.
Probably, right?
Literally.
And I think Aegon's got to be aware of, honestly, as much as like he was in power there and Aegon is being submissive now. I mean, Aegon is just way more dangerous. Aegon does have that like confidence, but you know,
All
the
Eamon has
barrier's
to
already been
say,
broken.
all Eamon has to say is, look, I'm really into this girl. She is trapped here at Harrenhal. So I'm just going to stay at Harrenhal when you're king. You don't have to see me ever again.
It's like, yeah, and I'm hooking up with this like 100 something year old ghost. I'm just shooting blanks. It's like we don't even know if anyone's even seen what's going on here. It's of no consequence. Uh,
It's like she's got dragon eggs. And Aegon's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm the one who had a traumatic event happen to me, but you lost your mind.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Eamon's
Oh.
always been a little crazy.
That's true. That's true. All right. So let's go to the last sibling here, Helena, in King's Landing.
Poor
Oh,
Helena.
having an awful time. She's at least getting crafty, which I think is fun, but not eating, which is obviously not good.
Yeah.
More, what do you think of Helena's episode and season?
I thought I overall, I mean, I liked her character a lot as this dreamer. I think it adds this kind of mystery overall to the story, and it's like, there's only so many people who can control dragons and ride them, and there's even fewer who can like dream and kind of like predict the future and all this stuff. And I was waiting for that moment where, because she dreams that she's on her dragon and she's kind of like defending. I don't know if it's like, the castle in King's Landing or like the whatever the church
Looks like
is.
maybe the dragon pit, maybe the sept.
Yeah, some of the sept or something. Yeah, so I was like waiting. I was like, okay, this will be interesting when this scene actually happens. But I guess she kind of like decided her own fate and kind of cut that short. Maybe she saw something she didn't want to live through. And she jumps up on him, much like, what's his name? Tommen or
Tommen.
Yeah, Tommen in Game of Thrones. And that was like interesting. I'm surprised the showrunners even wanted to kind of have a very similar character death. And I'm still like examining what that means because it's literally like the same exact thing. And yeah, I guess I'm curious what you guys thought of that.
So maybe I didn't think I thought she escaped.
No, there's a
Well, they showed
her dead in the pit.
Oh, did I must have missed that, but do we know that it's definitely that it's definitely her?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think so.
She's dead. She had a stake through her neck. It was over.
It could be
She turned into butterflies to say goodbye to her mom, which I think is insane. So you don't get that, Ryan. We actually did a whole episode about this. I think it was during season 2. George R. R. Martin wrote a blog on his Not a Blog website about how when you change things in the story, they're going to have ripple effects down the line to where like certain things don't make sense. And he was upset that certain things were taken out of it. And he called it Beware the Butterflies. So I think, and one of the big complaints he had was about Helena not having her third child, Maelor, and Maelor not being a part of the show. And I really think this was Ryan Condal, the showrunner, and like the writers taking a little jab at George R. R. Martin by having Helena die and like have like the implication that she like kind of turned into butterflies to say goodbye to her mom. Like insane thing to do. Very funny.
Kind of weird, yeah. Especially again, that's what I did. I must have missed that like quick scene. And again, it's not like that at all in the books. And I just kind of thought, right, her characters. I guess for me, the character. I mean, we've gone into this that like obviously she's just different in the books, and I was like, it's very typical to me for a show to be like, this character sounds kind of boring. We're just gonna make her like a Luna Lovegood, like indie type, like dream instead of like. I think it could be interesting, like, right, isn't she's supposed to be, like, kind of plain looking for a Targaryen and plump, but, like, nice, and she just gets, like, broken? That could be a whole other level of, like, messed up medieval, right? Just this person that's born into this family that's just, like, a normal person that just gets, like, messed up. I mean, but again, it doesn't really matter, and I think her character, she's just very stubborn, and all I could think of it was like, yeah, you don't need another kid. Like you are like literally a kid. Like just go run away with your mom and go play with bugs somewhere. Like you're gonna be happier. Like
I was very sad to see Helena go. I liked her.
The character,
How the actress was really good.
She's a good
as
actress.
a character. I really liked that she started. Maybe I'm so stupid. I did not connect that the opening credits were her Stitch
Oh,
until this episode.
oh, really? Yeah, no, I noticed that. Yeah, because
I was
it's been
like,
different
oh,
every season, right?
yeah, it's been a different intro every season, and this one was the Stitches.
Yeah.
What she was stitching the whole time.
Right, right. Which I think is so cool that they did that, and it's kind of like, I think I don't know if they changed it every single episode, but it feels like when I was just watching
Yeah,
the.
they had a bunch of different ones.
So I was gonna say
yeah.
it's different. It was different this episode, and it was like, oh shit! If they showed this from the beginning, this must have been like a spoiler. But I think they must have been updating it. But
Yeah, like in the Game of Thrones intro, whenever like something crazy would happen, they'll shift something. When Ramsay went to Winterfell and like burned, it got burned down. Like after that, in the next season, Winterfell was like on fire in the intro. And so I thought it was cool. I didn't realize it. Despite there being several scenes of Helena stitching, my brain just never made the connection.
Yeah, and it just kind of shows that like Rhaenyra really could have utilized her instead of like just like snuffing that fire out. Like she really could have used like this dreamer who was like literally spelling it out, through stitching. Like this may come to fruition, and there still are things that she stitched that was like, oh shit, is this going to happen? Is this going to come to be? It's like Rhaenyra really could have utilized that, but she was kind of blinded by her own power, I guess.
Well, I think it was actually kind of now. It's like the ending is kind of perfect, right? Where it shows like in the stitches, like it's like running red with blood, right? And like around Rhaenyra, and it's kind of like Rhaenyra just refuses to curb on her. She's just like so insecure and so like just like unwilling to bend and just like right, so clearly afraid of losing her power and so unrelenting that she's not able to break through her at all. And then when she sees it, instead of actually acknowledging it at all, she just slams the window shut and is like, let's just pretend that never happened.
She saw herself on the throne bleeding in the stitch, and she's like, I'll take it at this point. Like, whatever.
Her whole arc has just been like, make a bad decision. What would you have me do? And just like get upset with everyone else.
Yeah. Listen, it was all a mess. Her dad did not set her up for success. But yeah, she hasn't been the greatest queen either. Killing the High Septon, not great.
That was ballsy.
If a king straight up went and killed the Pope, that would be a problem in the Middle Ages.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And very unwise. I mean, I was happy. I thought that guy was kind of like a dickhead, personally.
There might be a way to do it. It was just kind of the way she did it. Like, not saying that's like a good thing to do, but and that's obviously in that situation where it's just like he's that unrelenting, and like you're the king or the queen. It's kind of like, yeah, it's like, listen, dude, you gotta budge here. Like, it's tough, but I think we really saw that she was just going for it.
Yeah, he thought he was untouchable, but he was not.
No.
I mean, I think this is what they've been trying to establish for the last episode, definitely this last episode, even like the last few episodes, that like Rhaenyra is kind of villainous in her own way, and killing this Pope guy, like force feeding Helena. It's like, are these scenes, do they like make sense with like who Rhaenyra has been in the past? I guess she's becoming more like Daemon, and I don't know. Yeah, and sometimes I wonder if it's like, is this forced like storytelling in terms of like, okay, let's make her bad and like Aemon good, and let's kind of like switch these roles, like red versus green and whatnot.
I'm not necessarily sure. Like, right, a lot of this stuff she's doing, she's making the decisions and the calls, but she's not doing them herself. To me, it's more her just like weakening, right? Because she feels like she's losing that power, so she's just like reacting, and she's not doing the things herself, right? And she kind of like when you call her on it, like I think Isabella did, she just kind of like snaps back with like a prissy little quip. But I don't necessarily, yeah, like the blood like line thing. She's like, definitely be like, oh, you bitch, like
Yeah, yeah.
straight up. But
Yeah.
like, I think it's more. Sorry, what'd you say?
No, yeah, that was a lot. It's like we are on at least the same side of the family tree here. We're not like distantly related.
Yeah, but yeah, so I think it's kind of, I kind of think it's just like that. Like she's just, and again, she's not put in a good position. It is difficult, but I think really it's like you kind of just have to handle it with more grace and be a little more calm and decisive. And, she's clearly, she's not making it any easier, right? She's showing everyone how frantic and panic stricken she is. And she's just kind of like making these decisions like I'm going to try to show as much power as right. It's like you're not able to operate things well. So instead of like, all right, taking a step back and looking at how you can do it, she's like, I'm just going to yell at you and tell you to stop doing that. And then maybe I'll slam something on the table or something, right? And it's like that's not effective. That's just going to make people upset. Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm curious to get your opinions on this, but for me, it's like I can't help but think of Daenerys. Like first of all, what would Daenerys have been like as queen if she kind of had been in Rhaenyra's shoes? Is this like kind of like are we acting out that like okay would Daenerys have been like this kind of like angry like
Daenerys would
desperate
have been a
leader?
little. No, sorry, I was just like thinking like really quickly for me. Maybe Brian, you
Yeah.
disagree. I feel like at least the way they depicted Daenerys in the I'll just combine their names, but Daenerys in the show, I would feel like based on that progression, which happened obviously very rapidly, I think she would yeah, she'd be just lighting people up. I think she'd be a little more like uh like Rhaenyra's asking Damon not to be. I think she would just be like, I'm just gonna toast you guys on fire with my dragons.
Okay. Yeah.
I think she'd be more like forceful, as where Rhaenyra's kind of like, I don't want to upset anyone, right? She's trying to do a little bit of what Viserys does, and then it's like, right, a firm hand isn't being used. There's discord. She kind of panics and she just reacts.
Yeah, I'm curious what you think, Brian. Is she kind of like is Rhaenyra like Daenerys 2.0 just from like a writing standpoint?
Well, they definitely want to do like the turn into like fascist dictator thing that they did with Daenerys, which is a completely unnecessary thing when it's a story about a queen or a king, because they are the only leader. They're not someone who gains political power and then overthrows the government. They are the one ruler, but they really want to push this, fascist thing with Rhaenyra, which, I mean, I don't know if it's a great look, to be honest, that the two like female protagonists of the two shows both have a very similar arc into like descent into madness and like fascism, medieval fascism, dragon fascism, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I mean that's interesting. Um, I do think that it is a very similar landing spot, even though they got like their pretty different ways. Like Daenerys, came from the mud out of Essos, like birthed three dragons with like blood magic, and Rhaenyra is much more of like, well, my dad told me that I'm supposed to be the ruler now, so. And also, this is an interesting thing. She says that she's Azor Ahai in this episode, which was crazy because I always kind of thought like the passing down of the prophecy was like it's not going to necessarily happen
Yeah,
to
no,
you.
100%.
It's just going to be our lineage.
Yeah, but she's saying through the bloodline, not the other one. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas, like, I personally think that it's the show's contention that Danny was Azor Ahai, at least because Damon saw Danny in that vision, and that's like what convinced him of the prophecy. Now, obviously, in the books, is John Azor Ahai? Is Danny? Is Stannis? We don't know for sure.
Well,
Um,
they showed, right. Damon also saw John, so like we don't necessarily know if like John and Danny in the books they could have a kid. Like who knows?
yeah, good.
Especially if they had them have a relationship in the show. We don't really know that, and there's other characters in the books that aren't covered in Game of Thrones as well, right? Like there's a pretty big one I could think of that we don't know necessarily plays a role, but he could.
Yeah, he might not even be a Targaryen, but he's presented as one. Is that who you're talking about?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
okay, yeah. Great character, great POV characters from John Connington. Didn't get it in the show at all, though.
I
So
feel
I
like
guess it's not going to be that
we don't want to go on
important.
a side. I feel like he's got to be a Targaryen if John has him as such. I just don't see it otherwise.
Mm,
But like maybe not. I feel like he's got to be though. If John Connington's batting for him. He just seemed
yeah,
like so like yeah. He was such like a staunch like Rhaegar guy.
agreed. Yeah, no, agreed. Anyways, back to this. Sorry, went on a tangent. Um,
So
that ultimately doesn't matter for the show canon at all.
No.
But
yeah,
but yeah, no. So let's I guess, do we have anything else about Rhaenyra's speech here that you guys wanted to talk about?
I mean, there's the one character who witnesses it that is kind of, to me, one of the low points of this season overall, which is Mysaria.
Oh,
She
Mysaria.
kind of she sees this whole thing, and she her whole storyline is just that she like gets close to the queen, even like sleeps with her at one point, and like gets some position of power, and then like it
Who
gets
knew
taken away, and she's
Rhaenyra
kind
was
of
such a fuckboy? They slept together, and Rhaenyra's like, "So I got a gift basket for you on your way out, but you
Yeah,
do have to leave."
that was kind of unexpected and abrupt. Like right, like it was maybe not a bad move for Rhaenyra, just in the sense of like I think she kind of complicated things, right? She was clearly always trying to be in her
That's true.
ear,
Yeah,
and I feel like at the end of the day, Damon could just cause problems there. I just feel like it wasn't really worth having. And clearly, she did to me, like she clearly had ambitions to stick in there, right?
yeah,
And we saw that with like when Allison planted that insecurity, she was as much as she was like fervently like supportive of Rhaenyra, a lot it was to like get her way and like, claim a place of power.
yeah. I think it was interesting. Like when Rhaenyra finds out that Aegon is alive and that like sends her on this spiral. When push came to shove, she was like, "All right, Damon, that's actually like my guy. Like, he's gonna fucking do every war crime in the book. He's gonna burn kids for me. Like, I gotta just go with Damon."
Yeah, and I think that's what it was kind of symbolically showing. Like, okay, like Mysaria, I don't really need you anymore. I'm
Yeah,
completely taking Damon's side, and Damon's this warlord kind of like he's the aggressive one, and but I think the season could have been so much stronger if they had given Mysaria more to do and more like action in terms of just like actually leaning Rhaenyra in the other direction. Yeah, I don't think she did that much. She kind of like came and went, which was like unfortunate. But maybe she'll have more going forward. But she's kind of like now she's just kind of returning back to the streets and kind of the shadows, and she has maybe it'll kind of show how she has more power when she's not in the castle. But I don't know. I also know that that actress, I forget her name, Mizuno or something like that. But she has not been favored by like fans. I don't know if that's kind of like swaying the writers at all. But I mean, I think she's fine. I'm not like complaining.
yeah, she's fine. Her
I
accent's a little like but
Yeah.
yeah,
The character hasn't been incredibly strong. It's she's
Right.
definitely been one of, to me, one of the weaker, less interesting characters. You just kind of feel like she's an annoying, like bang in the ear, at least from my perspective. So like I get why they might, but I think keeping her on the streets is going to give her a reason. We've already seen that she has the potential to act out against Rhaenyra, and it's like we don't. I guess it's like almost the most way to make her the most interesting because we know she got spurned by Damon. We don't know, right? At one point, she was very important to Damon. So like we don't know if like she's still kind of doing all this to kind of get back at Damon or to kind of like really exact like this desperate attempt to like kind of take down this family or just to like rise above or to finally feel equal or whatever. So it kind of makes it interesting. Like, yeah, maybe she's gonna go out there and mess things up for them.
Yeah, but see, even you explaining that is like so much more interesting than I think was in the show. You know, it's like why
That's what I'm
couldn't she have
saying.
been like she could have been
Well, I'm
like
saying why,
Littlefinger. She could have
but I'm
been
saying
like
now they're kind of doing that, right? They're
yeah,
giving her that
maybe
opportunity where I feel like I don't. Maybe there was a pathway, but like, was there a pathway for her to do more than kind of what she was doing, just kind of bang and
right.
Rhaenyra's ear without? Because we kind of saw like Dame. It's like yeah, Damon is gonna do Damon things, but ultimately he's doing what he can to stick with Rhaenyra. Clearly, he's her rock here, right? And I think it makes sense too, because even Allison's like she chose hers a long time ago. Like you don't have a chance fighting against this guy.
Right.
I also just I because you were saying like Damon committing the war crimes. I just when he was in the episode before when he was in the gold cloak outfit, you could just tell he was like, oh yeah, I'm about to get up to some real wild shit right now. Let's get it. I'm committing some serious crimes. Like,
I saw someone says that his sword, Dark Sisters, talks to him like the Green Goblin mask. Like, you just got to start doing crimes, Damon.
yeah,
You gotta kill some people.
Yeah.
Spend days. Well, let's get to the meat and potatoes, honestly, of this episode. The Battle of Tumbleton. We've been leading up to it all season. As far as I'm concerned, it was fucking awesome. I thought it was a really, really great one, just action, very entertaining, but also just showing like how fucked war is, which I think is like a main conceit of A Song of Ice and Fire, period. But there wasn't, there's nothing really that noble about what's happening here, A guy stabbing another guy in the ass. Like, this is brutal,
Yeah.
gross.
Right.
Kids getting burned alive by Damon. Another kid getting his face smashed by an axe. Like, this is terrible.
Yeah, and I loved when they showed like Damon waking up and he sees like what Ulf's dragon has done, and it's like, right? We know like Damon is just as capable, but I think it's interesting. Like Damon's eyes, he sees like this is what we did when we kind of gave all these dragons out, right? To like a guy like Ulf, who we just don't know what's capable of. He's not going to have like these strong allegiances, and right, it just reminds us of yeah, what Dragonfire does. It's horrible. It's horrible, right? Like, you never really think about it, but it's like there's really no. I don't know. I can't imagine a worse way to die than being like burned alive.
Unless you're Roddy the Ruin, who was really about it in this episode. But he was planning to die anyway, so I guess being burned alive when you're planning to die probably a lot cooler than being burned alive when you don't want to die by a dragon.
This is the Stark guy you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's it's just
yeah.
You see the difference between like him and Ormond, like during those final moments where he's just like, "Fuck yeah, this is such an epic way to die," and Ormond is just like, "Oh god damn it, my plans have not worked out. This fucking like hillbilly is like, betraying me." And it's just it just so
yeah, that is so true. And like I do think they did the Ormond and him fight perfectly, where it's like you kind of think at first like it's like wow, this guy's way more badass, but it's like no, despite that, like Ormond, like right, like he is kind of like a little like prissy or whatever, but he's got his moves and he knows what he's doing, and he's not gonna back down. He's gonna stick it right at him. But then I think it ended with him then like puking.
He's gonna stick it right at him.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah. But then and then him puking, right? Like it was like perfect. Like where he's
Yeah.
like he still just can't get over that.
Yeah, he's not built for it. Even though he's like a good fighter,
That's
like
what
he
I'm saying.
cut the arm off and stuff. Is just like it's a lot. It's a stressful day
It
for
was just good.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I liked how they showed his fighting, where it's like, yeah, he's still skilled. He's like definitely like cunning and like he's tricky, but like we still get a vibe like him versus is it Rodney or Roger? Is it Roderick the Ruin?
Roderick the Rune. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because there's a lot of Rodericks. I feel like, but yeah, like he Roderick in comparison to Roderick the Ruin, who's just like a way like more fiercer and impressive fighter at first. We just see how like yeah, I thought it was really perfect how they showed the way Ormond did it.
yeah. No, I agree. It's a very much of like brutal, like fighting versus skilled. And I do love when shows are just like, yeah, this person, he's not built for this. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah. It's
at
like
the
despite all of that, he's just like not. At the end of the day, he was like raised right as a high tower. He's not. He doesn't like all the peasant stuff and like yeah, getting he understands he's gonna have to fight to death at some point, right? He probably loves slashing a few good necks like we see Damon do, but like when you really have to get into it and get it right, blood and mud, yeah, he can't do it.
Yeah. Speaking of an absolute brawl, we got one of the best fights I think in Game of Thrones here between was Sir John Rockton and Damon. Um, so Tamor, this guy hasn't really been expanded upon in the show at all, but he is
Oh,
like
okay.
a pretty badass warrior in the books, and he has a Valyrian steel sword, that great
Oh,
sword that he has, and he's just known for being like giant badass knight. And I'll be honest, he was kicking Damon's ass. Once it became like a close up brawl and not like a sword fight, that if that dragon hadn't burned it down, Damon's done.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we don't really think about it, but how and Damon is a good, but how old is Damon at this point? Because
Yeah, no,
like
he's like in his 50s or 60s. That's a good point.
I was gonna say, like this dude has lived like 17 lives, and like yeah, it's just the way it is. He looks about the same, but yeah, he's again, it's like, but for that like time, he's like ancient, right?
Yeah.
So it
That's a good point.
right. Remember, like given like Ned's injured and like Ned's been out of commission for a while, but Ned in the books when he's fighting Jamie, he's like our age now.
Oh,
Right.
shit.
Yeah.
Which right? Isn't that crazy? And it makes sense. You could see it. It's like, yeah, if you had to fight right now, the sword, like you hadn't done it in a while, you'd probably be like, man, I'm gonna tear something, right? But
Right.
but you could do it. But like, so imagine doing it when you're 60. Like,
Yeah. No,
Right.
that's a good point. But yeah, I just loved it. It was so gross of a fight, like with the eye gouging and like,
Oh, yeah.
all that. It was just like, yeah, this is war. Like it's not glamorous at all. It's
Yeah.
what's that Logan Roy quote where it's like it's a fight for a knife in the mud, basically what this was.
Yeah, and I was really afraid that Damon was gonna like die in the scene. It's like none of these
yeah,
characters are guaranteed to like get to the end, and
I was
I was like,
wondering.
man, this would be so disappointing if they actually killed. I mean, it would be epic, but it would be like, man, like this character who like we've seen him here and there. He's kind of been like a B character, but like if he did Damon in, that would be crazy. And he escapes by just sheer luck. It's timing.
Yeah, I agree. For like again, how little he's been in the show, for it to happen for the show, it would be pretty. Well, I mean, it would be kind of cool in the sense of like, yeah, it could happen at any time, and it would be like, right as I saw it happening, I was just like, yeah. I mean, it was good in the sense that they planted like Damon had the ability to sow for peace, but he just
Yeah,
right. It's Damon, he can't, and that just like fires him more, and maybe he goes even, he goes in a little harder, and that causes him to die. But like again, it's if they had killed him off, he's such a strong character still to this
yeah, he really
day.
is. Yeah,
I mean, that dude, yeah, plays him pretty perfectly.
yeah.
He's so nice on Andor too. Um, did you guys see Andor?
No.
Yeah.
No. Oh, he plays a very nice guy on that show where
Interesting.
he's like pretty menacing and horrible. Yeah, his sword is also named Orphan Maker. Some more.
Damn.
Wait,
It
who's
gives
it?
you an impression of who he is.
Is it the other guy?
John Rockton's sword,
Huh.
yeah, his name.
I was like
Orphan
gonna say
Maker.
honestly, Damon. I'd forgotten that, but like Damon's sword should be called Orphan Maker.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dark Sister. That's also pretty. It's cooler. It's not as like
Yeah, well, that's the one of
mean spirited.
that's Visenia's blade, right?
Yeah,
It makes sense that he would have it. Yeah,
yeah, and I
him or
think like
him or Amond, yeah, would have to have that for sure.
yeah, I think it was generally given to the
The strongest
Targaryen that
one.
was like the most badass.
Yeah, like the fiercest warrior.
Yeah, and in the current series, to more it's lost after more Targaryen civil wars happen.
Gotcha.
Kind of. We can talk about that off there. We don't need to go into
Right,
the
right.
But like they
Blackfire
probably,
rebellions.
yeah, I don't want to go into all that, but I was like, but at the same, I feel like Dark Sister, it's like a certain vibe. Like, yeah, Rhaegar, they probably would have given it to, but you don't really see. I don't imagine Rhaegar rocking Dark Sister, right? It's more of
No.
like it's more, it's a Daemon blade for sure.
Mm-hmm. No, totally agree. So yeah, this was just incredible. I did think I've seen a lot of memes that I found very funny when Hugh Hammer showed up and was like screaming for Cat, and Damon was looking at him like, "What the fuck?" Like he doesn't know that he has like a wife named Cat. He just sees this guy running through the streets yelling "Cat."
Right.
It's kind of funny. He's just like, oh my god, will this peasant stop yelling about his wife? Someone put him down.
But yeah,
Honestly,
that was
another
very
character
fun.
that I wanted a little more from, but yeah, there's so many characters. It's like hard to
Yeah.
have everybody.
Yeah, they could
I
have put
feel
more.
like he got the short string of the Dragon Seeds this season. Like Adam's arc,
Right.
I liked a lot. Ulf, obviously, great character. But yeah, they didn't really do too much with you. They had the episode where he went to Tumbleton to try to get his wife back. But
Right.
yeah,
The older brother, that was probably, like him having to kill the
Alan,
Septon.
yeah.
I thought he had one of the best arcs, and I like his character a lot. And I think it kind of like, even when he initially, I remember, it seemed kind of weird to me, but it made sense in the sense like you saw it was like so out of his zone to like hook up with Bela, but he's like screw it, like I'm still gonna be me, and I'm super rigid, and I don't break on things, but I'm not that dumb. I'm not going to say no to hooking up with this lady.
Yeah.
But I thought they did a really good job with him. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there with you. I feel like the battle is over at this point, right? Like, if
Yeah.
nothing else, the dragon burning everything, both sides made everyone be like, you know what? We're done here.
Unless we see, like, it was kind of weird we didn't see Darian do anything. I would have liked, like, something.
Is he alive? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's where I'm thinking there's got to be something because, right, we know that, like, there's some, we know that, like, supposedly he's capable of some stuff, right? He's the daring, but they explain his name there, which is kind of funny, and it could, right? It could be a different way they're dealing with the history. Like, yeah, this is how he gets a nickname. They just give it to him. He doesn't do shit.
That was insane. Yeah. So that is one of the bad things that weren't able to adapt a lot of the smaller battles is like Darren was out there doing shit and like he earned his nickname.
Not to ruin anything, but it was like even before this, right? He has supposedly been fighting and been Darian the Daring. But it's interesting, and yeah, maybe the history books wrote it differently, right? Because no one really likes Aegon. No one really, right? A lot of people don't really like Rhaenyra, but like, yeah, maybe to have like a Targaryen that's like kind of more badass. But maybe it did go down like this, where they're just like Darian the Daring, and like give him like this cool name, and he doesn't do anything. And it's
maybe
it's Ormandy, like in at least Ormond in the show, right? It's very like him to give him this great pompous nickname, and he's like, now sit and watch your peasants kill each other.
Yeah, and Aemon's vibes are so rancid that they never named another Targaryen Aemon. So I can see
crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought this was a great season finale. I'm sad the show's only 8 episodes a season. I really wish like we could get so much more if they just went back to 10. They're never going to, obviously. Like this is, I think I saw the episode before this one was like the most watched episode of the week for any show. So like it's working fine for HBO. They're spending less money. But I'm disappointed that it's not 2 more episodes. I'd be so down for some more of this, you know?
Yeah, and I think the next season is going to come out in like 2028 or something, right? So like we have a
Yeah.
long way to wait. Hopefully,
At least Night of the Seven Kingdoms finished filming last week. So
wow, nice.
we'll hopefully get that later this year, or not this year, later next year.
Next year, probably, yeah.
Because it came at the beginning of this year, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like it wasn't that long ago. So
no, yeah. I remember being surprised because I thought it would be at the end of the year before, so that like they'd have that for that year and House of the Dragon for this year, and then both of them were this year. I think The Pit ended up taking the spot that I expected House of the or A Night of the Seven Kingdoms to take.
Right.
But yeah, this was a lot of fun. We should do it again. Some off-season podcasts, talk about all that stuff. I know it was a very busy few weeks for you guys and Dylan, and you know, as we have a long wait probably for more stuff, we can, you know, maybe tomorrow you can read some book stuff. We can do a book club or something.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, yeah, this summer was like really busy. Like it just kind of, got ahead of me. But I'll definitely should have more time coming up, especially as fall approaches and school's settled. And I would love to do some more. Right, I would love to like reread some stuff and catch up on stuff for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Anything you guys want to plug before we're out of here?
Why don't you take it away, Brian?
All right. Don't have to tell me twice. I got stuff to plug. Make sure you check out the main channel. We get everything. We cover video games in the form of video essays, video game reviews. Check out our Fake Nerds channel where we cover pop culture news primarily around video games over there. If you're into sports, we have a Wicked Good Sports channel. Ryan joins me over there sometimes, talk about basketball. We'll probably get more into it this fall. Like Ryan said, this summer was just very busy for that. And then this is, of course, Better Radio, which hosts all of our podcasts. You can catch to more on the Last of Us podcast with me. I think that's coming back soonish this year, I think. We'll see. If not this year, next year. But if you're into reality television, we have a bunch of reality TV podcasts, including the Have Not Room, which is running right now. We're covering Big Brother. So, again, thank you so much for taking the time to check this out, and we will see you in the next one.